It's the landscaping show with balls.
That just caught my eye.
We're not afraid to deal with heavy topics.
Just an older machine and too much weight on the skid.
We've got great costumes.
Ow!
Snappy dialogue. And a man on a bike.
So I'm on my way to the Bowers residence.
To see it finished looks absolutely amazing.
My name is Joel. I'm a landscape designer.
I believed it for a while.
Every Monday, my partners and I get together at the office to share a quick breakfast
Have an egg. No. Oh, wait.
and go over the client lineup.
Bowers, are they still?
Bowers has to start this week or we're gonna get yelled at.
The landscaping is so bad that we really want to update it in the driveway. The bushes that are there now are probably about 30 or 40 years old and are very tired.
Now, I'd like to say we're on schedule to fix this yard, but our office manager, Deb, has gone on vacation.
Is the schedule thing?
Yeah, let me just check. Where is the schedule?
I don't know.
It's only the most important thing ever in this company. Look at that, the doors are a lot.
They seem to listen to what we wanted, and that's important. And any time you're doing work with some professional, they have to learn to listen to the client.
Are these the keys?
Do you have a copy of the schedule, Kennedy?
No.
No, I have absolutely no apprehension.
I think next year we're vacationing all at the same time.
As long as the work goes smoothly, and I'm hoping it will, this will be simple, I'm sure.
Hey, no schedule.
So you guys have in your head generally when the schedule of the... Yeah. If worse comes to worse, and you have to wait until Deborah's return, right?
Well, here's the schedule. We're booked solid and we're behind a little bit.
Well, it's another beautiful start to a project.
The Bowers are trying to incorporate a traditional style mixed with a bit of a formal feeling, which works with the architecture of their house.
Just last year finished doing a significant major, we call it a deep cosmetic job in the interior of the house.
The Bowers seem to like straight lines and symmetry, so we'll extend that look to the outside.
No, this is a great, clean front yard. Looks amazing. I'm looking forward to showing it to you.
Three things we're trying to achieve with the Bower residence is a new front landing, sculpted planting, and a smaller driveway, making room for that planting. We have a green light for the front, and it's quickly approaching, so it's a good time to...
And one of the reasons we wanted this meeting today is we have some things that we think, some concepts that we want to change. Just not large aspects of it, but planting and maybe a few other things or things that we want to see if we can incorporate.
When a client is that detailed, it can sometimes be a concern.
The stone border is
Natural stone.
just lays on it.
Most of our things dry laid. If you did a concrete base, in our climate, there's room for it to heave, shift, and crack.
You always have that nervousness that you won't be able to do the job the way you're supposed to be doing it without interference.
With regard to the construction of the porch and the steps, what's the foundation?
Concrete pour on sonotube concrete footings.
Grass is always difficult, I assume, to grow under the maple tree.
Maples are notorious for shallow roots, so the roots are really close to the surface, and so it might be a little bit challenging to plant in there because of that root structure.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, the hydro pole. The focal point in your garden besides the maple tree is the hydro pole. So once everything else is going on, you won't even notice it so much. It's going to be softened with some plant material against the curb, but there's no sidewalks in this neighborhood.
You guys are elevated on your landing, and we talked about the idea when you look out, we don't want you to see cars going by and asphalt.
The idea that this would be a nice row of columnar trees.
To break up the boundary with the neighbor.
Yeah, it should really help to define the space.
This should be a happy process. It should be a positive process. It shouldn't be filled with too much pain.
It looks good in drawings and it looks good in our heads, but until you actually start doing it, we'll see.
More eggs?
I just started
Eggs.
Hello!
Kennedy. Oh!
Ron is our general contractor, and he'll be handling the Bowers job. I need him to check out the front steps, and if the base is in good enough shape, we can use it and save the client $5,000.
It was poorly done. Like the stonework's chicken crap.
It doesn't look like it's all cracked up or anything.
I'll let you make the call.
The foundation might be, well, we'll take it down and see.
So why dabble in conjecture? Let's get Ron down to Richard's place and have a look at those dodgy steps.
can see that it's not solid underneath here, so we got a concrete pour on top of the old existing wall.
For me, that's good. I was worried it was solid.
Well, it's not really good because we were hoping we could salvage and build up on top of existing. So as it is right now, we're gonna have to keep on tearing it down.
The bad news is the steps have to be completely torn out. The good news is we can save the retaining wall. So goodbye steps, goodbye old bushes, and hello new limestone. Ooh, that ain't right.
It's just an old machine and there's too much weight on the skid.
This is not how you want to start a project.
So I'm on my way to the Bowers residence, and I'm really excited that it's finally getting started.
Unfortunately, the excitement is short-lived. Let's see if someone slightly heavier has better luck. Well, what do you know? James and I go over the project details one more time.
Coming along?
Yeah.
And find something
That just caught my eye.
that could be funny.
I've never seen
kind of
the likes
interesting.
of two of those together like that. Anyways.
Anyhow.
Okay, so over here.
Pipe fittings that look suspiciously like
It's the landscaping show with balls.
The roots underneath this maple are a little more serious than we were expecting.
Yeah, for sure they are. They always are. Urban street trees, especially Norway maples, they are the bane of any garden design installation you do because of the shallow roots on them.
The good thing is, I guess we've been down the road with it enough that we do know some viburnums and dogwoods and ground cover will go.
Well, we can deal with the old maple's roots, but the old driveway's gotta go. We're going to dry lay a limestone border and the walkway to the front door. And now that the hardscaping's underway, it's time to think of the softscaping, also known as the plants and the trees.
Oh, Japanese pagoda tree. Well, it's overwhelming. It's a large place and there's lots of plants.
They've got a lot of nice specimens here, but we don't know what they are.
And that's where I come in.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
These are absolutely beautiful. Eastern redbud, Cercis canadensis. They have the multi-stem, which I love because it looks absolutely dynamite uplit.
This is for what area?
I would use these as the 4 when you step out your door. They'd look absolutely amazing.
They're already about 8 feet tall.
It's your house. If you feel like that's a little too heavy or too much, we'll tone it down.
Yeah, I think it's a bit big.
Okay. In this industry of landscape design, you could just be doing plant material design alone. You have to consider so many things. Light, sun, shade, structure, flower, how it's going to look after 1 year, how it's going to look after 5 years, how it's going to look after 60 years. These dogwoods would be a great option.
And these are the fall leaves color.
That's right.
Maybe we're making headway.
This one looks good. Is this one good or
That's
no?
a great one.
The Bowers want a row of trees at the edge of their property to define the space. I'm thinking hornbeam.
This is the hornbeam. This is columnar. You can see that nice shape. That's why we want it. It's not going to overwhelm your property or the neighbor's property. The leaf stays on in the winter. So it has some nice winter appeal.
Falls off in the spring or just
Falls off in the spring, new leaves come out.
Sadly, this batch is already sold.
I put a phone call into the grower and they are hopeful that they can get more. Now the fact that the client has been out here, it makes me feel great because I don't have to worry that when the plant material does show up, they're not going to like it.
Another meeting and more breakfast.
Toast, toast, toast. Bowers is moving along. We went out to the grower with them last week. Very particular, which is great. Found some nice specimens. Still have to have another meeting with them regarding the shrubs and perennials. With the Bowers, they are right on it. They want to know what's going on. And they just are very, very detail-oriented people.
digging all the holes, but now we've got to find something to fill them with.
We were thinking that the dwarf Korean lilacs would look really sharp on the left-hand side of the stairs as you're leaving the house.
Okay.
We like putting it by a front doorstep because it is so fragrant. Out of 100 species of shrub, there's really only 5 to 7 that will grow fairly well underneath the maple. This Viburnum judei is actually really quite fragrant for their flower. And this is the fall color. It's a dynamite red fall color.
From the street, I wanted the porch and the doorway to be the focus point.
You know, we don't want that to be lost
And the planters
with
on the
too
porch.
tall of a planting there.
If you want to leave it as a semi-ground cover, I'm completely fine with that.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to factor like why I should pick one or the other, the ground cover versus the bush.
What I look for in our climate is because we spend so many months with where I don't want you just looking at dirt, is I look for winter interest. And the ground cover is great for winter interest. It stays green.
Right.
And the viburnums, they still have winter interest in that they're a nice woody shrub. So you're not looking at dirt.
I think this calls for a compromise. We're going to plant the Euonymus coloratus and the viburnum, and they'll both look great year-round. But our planting plan may have a hitch.
What do you need, buddy?
I need to know, there's 2 things on both your orders for Joe and James. Dwarf Korean lilac do not look good, so we're not going to ship the ones we have.
Oh, great.
I need dwarf Korean lilacs. And I need viburnums.
We might have to go elsewhere.
If you want them that bad, or we'll try to get some other kind. They're not going to be the prettiest.
Are they going to be fine in the spring?
Are they going to be fine in the spring?
Yeah.
I'll take
8. I'll take my regular order.
I'll take my regular order.
Okay, so that's 2 regular orders. Do you guys want fries with that?
You're turning comical, buddy.
We averted disaster on the first phone call, but the second one is another matter.
Okay.
What? Not happy?
I'm not happy with the landing area. It dips and it's up and it's down, so I'm a little disappointed.
The thing that makes everything okay with this guy is he's a really nice guy.
In between the rebar stake and the gas can, it has a slight twist in it, but they're not in their final resting position, so that's why it might look a little shifted or twisted. He wanted this tread made a little bit more level.
I'm going to be seeing it every day, and I have a very critical eye, and if something's off, that will bother me and would have to be corrected, so might as well do it now.
Basically, it's a pain in the butt to change, but if they want to change it, then we change it, so.
Richard has said that, he's a little OCD.
I'm just OCD in a nice way, I just like things done. I guess possibly when I'm at work, I'm known to be a little bit demanding.
It's a little detail-oriented.
No, that's not something that somebody would normally notice.
Typical of a client that used to drive me crazy. And you know what? After a while, you learn how to handle that and how to be with that, and it's totally okay. You just know you're going to get a call that day, every day, saying what's going on. You know you're going to have to give a little extra, and it's fine.
We have a lot of boxwood.
41.
Well, it's gonna be instant.
Joel, here's your grass.
How much do I owe you?
We'll talk later.
The viburnums over here and the dwarf Korean lilac. Here. Those guys are going in the front bed here. The dwarf Korean lilacs, which are supposed to go in this area here, weren't looking the greatest. And so we decided we'd put up with it, knowing that they'll bounce back and look beautiful next spring. So they want it nice and simple. So these U's are going up here, and the boxwood are going down here.
Okay, two-handed.
Wow. Guys, I can't emphasize enough. Straight as an arrow. Richard's very particular, and if someone is that particular about stonework and things like that, you can kind of expect they're going to be even more particular about plant material.
We trust Joe. I mean, that's Joel's one of his favorite sayings is, trust me. And yeah, you know, you always, no matter what anybody says, that there's always, you have your own perspective. You always sort of say, well, I trust him, but, you know, it's not always so much of trust. It's also a matter of preference.
Horn beams are looking good, nice and straight. Okay. Until this one's still a little off. Put the level on it. That's a lot better.
The end result will be quite nice, I'm sure.
I think he's happy, so can sleep. We definitely will go for a drink after this one. Up, we're looking at doing the concrete pour at the top of the stairs, cladding it with the natural flagstone, putting the asphalt in for the driveway, sodding, and then just adding in a few extra plant materials to send it home.
Looks like we're finally on a roll here. Or maybe not.
This landing had gone further into the grassed area, and when I saw sort of the roughed out layout, I just thought there was not going to be enough grass, so we cut it back, and maybe cut it back too much, because now there's this line from the end of the landing going down along the dogwood planting area. I just not quite happy on this linearity. I think it would look better if it's cut out, just to bring it out so that the landing is just defined quite separately from the dogwood planting area. I think Joel will agree with me, but he has to, I guess.
Great.
Yeah.
Another phone call.
I hate when he points it out without me catching it, because he's right. But anyways.
Measurements and all, we're rolling to the end of another project. And this one's going to be a sizzling masterpiece. Literally.
Wow.
Nice, man, nice.
It's a nice bit of an improvement, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. The porch, way less obtrusive than the other porch. But of course, remember, the porch was so huge and those massive stairs. This is way better.
Yeah, and it gave us some nice room for planting beds.
It's a huge, huge difference from what it used to look like.
A garden doesn't have to be a ton of different plant species.
Yeah.
Here's just 5 to 7 main plant species massed out.
Nice blocks, which makes it an architectural feeling too.
The U's are perfect. They'll get a little bit higher and we'll keep them nice and clipped.
And that'll probably go about the size of the window eventually.
I think that would be nice. That'd be a nice height.
I like
the change in evergreens, because you could have easily done this in U's again.
Yew and boxwood, I find to just be two of the nicest, classiest evergreens you can get.
And there's a large number of plants. It's like it's almost a mature garden already, so that certainly makes it a little more exciting at the end.
One thing that's kind of overlooked, I think, by people sometimes is the importance of urns like this.
Yeah.
Only because you can change them all the time. You know, the whole garden fills in and it comes back the same the next year.
You mean change them as in they put seasonal planting?
Yeah. Even the existing trees, again, it always goes back to that point where as soon as you do the design around these trees, they seem like they were meant to be in these locations.
Yeah, they belong.
If you design them properly in, it's wow, these totally fit this space.
One of the issues that the client was looking for as well was to define the space and create a bit of privacy. And it wasn't like we just wanted to roll in and put a fence down either side of the property. So plant material was able to achieve that quite well. I'm absolutely floored and blown away by the quality of stonework, especially on the steps. I love it.
The hair of this house was done in that feeling of heavy, that heaviness with stone. If you do this chintzy and you do this like thin like this, it has such a weak quality to it.
If the whole driveway was done in flagstone, it would have cost a fortune. So this is just a nice touch to bring it across here and have a focal point. And
it tones the driveway down, so it's not like, oh God, like this is all driveway and we got this little entrance. So now this whole thing kind of feels like entrance to the house.
Like a little courtyard.
Yeah.
That's right. You use a high-end material with something that's not as high-end, and it brings that material up a notch. A lot of times, I think people in our industry don't realize that their job is to complement the architecture of a house. And so that's all that's happening. It's a formal, traditional house and a formal and traditional garden.
It was a pleasure. There was nothing negative at all about it. And we learned a lot and appreciated things, I think, a bit more.
We were very pleased.
Nice work, guys.
Thank you. Nice work.
Thank you.
Sure.
So, Joel,
That gets cut.
So tell me, polehead.
Yes. That gets cut.
Help it out? Only because there's a camera here.
That gets cut. That gets cut.
You can't smoke it. Well, yeah, I'm sure you could.
That gets cut.
This is pretty tough for you, Joel.
Well, I'm a pretty tough guy. You probably saw me breaking a nail, taking some of the plants off.
That gets cut.
I really want to just hurry up and get on to the next job.
Okay.